Hi, everybody. This is Lane Mears coming to you from my home in San Salvador on quarantine, like I'm sure most or all of you are too. Um, but I figured I'd take advantage of the time that we all have in our home to pick back up with the place training that we left off a couple of weeks ago. I'm sorry it's taken me a couple of weeks to get on top of things with work and with family life, but here we are. We're ready to dive back in with session 4 of Place. I hope the first 3 sessions have been beneficial for you, have been a positive experience of self discovery and spiritual formation. That is our goal, with the end goal of trying to help you use what you understand about how God made you to plug into the body of Christ and feel that joy of using how you're made to serve others. And so that's our ultimate goal. We left off 2 weeks ago having finished session 3. So we're going to pick up at session 4 today, which is focused on connecting passion to ministry. And we're going to begin on page 37 of your participant guide. This is probably my favorite session of the 5 because passion is something I'm very passionate about. It's something that has driven a lot of my decisions professionally over the past 20 years. And so I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story of passion from my perspective to set up the lesson that we're going to discuss today. I practiced law in Austin, Texas for 9 or 10 years. But I went to law school because I wanted to stand with the little guy against the powerful big guy. In the sense, I was passionate about justice, and I wanted to be someone who could represent and even the playing field for the little guy. I went to law school in Houston, Texas, did very well in law school, and graduated and got a job with a large law firm in Austin, Texas, and I was very excited about that. My job ended up being working for this law firm represented large auto manufacturers such as Toyota and Nissan in their car crash cases. And so the better that I did, the more money I put in Toyota and Nissan's pocket. Now, while that is an admirable and needed role, lawyers for those big car companies, it wasn't something that I felt passionate about. It wasn't connected with what had motivated me to go to law school was to help the little guy. And so I found that over the years, my passion for the law waned because I wasn't serving in that role in the way that I was made. In 2009, I left the practice of law, moved to East Africa with my family to work for a Christian organization called International Justice Mission, helping kids who'd been sexually abused, helping people who'd been thrown in jail for no valid reason, and trying to get them out of jail and trying to get the kids counseling they needed and put the guys who'd abused them in jail. And I found that the more I did that, the more that I actually was using my passion for law and helping people who really would not have had an advocate otherwise. I became very, very passionate and invested in the law once again. And it was just it's a testament to me how important finding what your passion is and using it, whether it be in your professional life, in the church, wherever it is. There's something powerful about understanding what your passion is and using it in a way that fits and seeing the results of that. There's so much joy and fulfillment that comes in that. And that's my hope for you on the back end of this session, that you will understand what that is. And then at the end of our 5 weeks of Place, you will have a place where you can serve and use not only your spiritual gifts and your personality and your abilities, but your passion and life experience as well, and really feel fulfilled and fruitful in that role. So, open your books again. We're gonna move right into page 38 in your participant guide, where we're talk about what does passion mean. And there's a few definitions on this page The one that I like there is the bottom one by Jay McSwain, who's the founder and creator of this place material. He says, something that energizes you to the point that simply doing it is your reward. We've all had times like that where, our parents may have had to pay us to go cut the grass or pay us to take out the trash or whatever. But there are certain things that you did, I'm sure, when you were a kid, when you were growing up, that you just loved to do it. You didn't need any motivation or money to do it. Whether it be writing or sports or creative things like painting or drawing, building things. It's unique to everybody, but there are those things I'm sure you can identify from your past that really were things you were passionate about, that you didn't need anybody to pay you to get you to do those. You just wanted to because you loved it. A couple other definitions here. Passion is a strong or extravagant fondness, enthusiasm, or desire for anything. Another Jay McSwain quote, a burning desire for something that causes your emotions to rise where you desire it more than anything. Does that ring a bell? Have you had those types of things? Last one by Jay McSwain, the third on the list here, is where you would give your time to serve people or tasks if money or the opinion of others were not even factors. You don't need anything external to make you to want to do it. It's just in you. That is what passion is. We're coming to a point here that we're going to have throughout this video where I'm going to ask you to pause the video so that you can take some time for reflection. This one's going to have you fill out the definition for passion. Down the line in the video, we're going to have times where we're going to pause it so that you can do a questionnaire to dig into really what your passion is. But I want you to pause the video here in just a second. Look at page 38, and where those lines are near the bottom left, it says, write your own definition of passion below. Think through that, how you would define passion. Put your name below that. And then once you've thought that and written that down, unpause it, and we'll pick back up with the video. Okay, good. Hope you're able to articulate how you view passion. One question I've got is, are you living out your definition of passion? Do you have areas in your life where you are living out that definition of passion? Again, it could be at work, could be at home, could be in church, could be in the community. But it's my hope that you are or will find a place where you can live out that passion in your life. It's very important. All right, on that page 38, there are a couple blanks, and I want to talk about where passion originates. What do you think? It is from the blank that our passion is derived. It's our heart. It is from the heart that our passion is derived. There's a verse there, Proverbs 27:19. As water reflects a face, so a man's heart reflects a man or a woman. God is after our hearts. God created us for a purpose. He created us as not only to be with him and to know him and to love him, but to be his hands and feet in the world. And he puts passions in us that will then motivate us to go out and to love and serve others in a way that is unique to how we're made, but it's from our heart. And you know that answer. You've experienced that. Proverbs 4:23, there's a blank in your book that says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Passion comes from within. One person cannot give another person their passion. Your experiences in life, your bent, will drive what your passion is. An example from my life, when I was growing up, and even to this day, I have always been very passionate about sports, playing sports. Every season growing up, I was playing a different sport: basketball, baseball, soccer. Even to this day, I play tennis, I play basketball, softball, because it's my passion. But that doesn't mean that my kids are going to have that same passion. There are some that like sports, some that don't. I could not force my kids to have a passion about the same things I did. God just made them a certain way, and they have their own passions. So we cannot force our passions or pass those on to others. It's something that God puts in each one of us. All right, we're going to flip over to page 39. And you'll see there is on the top it says people or groups that I feel the most passion and desire to help. So this is another one of those times where I'm going to ask you to pause the video here in a second. Take your time, go through that long list, check the ones that something stirs in you, that there are people or groups that you feel the most passion to help. And then once you're done, you can transfer your answers from this exercise and the next one to page 45 in your booklet. But for right now, take a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, however long it takes you, to go through that list, check the ones that most resonate with you, and then once you've done that and transferred them to page 45, you can unpause the video. But let's go ahead and pause right now. Okay, we're back. Hope that was illuminating for you to identify those types of those groups or those people that really stir your passion to serve. You may be wondering, what in you motivates you to care for those different groups of people that you checked. I have found in my life that for some reason I love serving children. My work with this nonprofit in Africa, again, was helping children who'd been abused. And man, my heart broke to hear their stories, but my heart came alive in giving services to them, to fight for them in the justice system so they would have justice, to make sure they got the best counseling they could get, to receive healing, and to see their faces, man, to laugh again after they'd suffered such trauma. I'm really drawn to doing what I can to love and care for children. And I'm getting to do that again with the youth group here at Union Church. I don't know why that is. It's not something that my parents passed on to me, this desire to serve children and youth, but it's something that God placed in me. But there are some principles that may give us insight into why we're more passionate about some people groups than others. Let me see, get my notes here. One reason that may influence the groups that you're motivated on is age. If you're a college student and you had a really positive experience in a youth group in your church, you may be passionate about serving youth. Like you were invested in a youth group, you may want to do that for others younger than you. Your life experiences, for example, if you had traumatic experiences of losing a child, you might be passionate about caring for others who've gone through similar tragedies. So your life experience can help shape what you're passionate about. Common experiences really shape us. And I'm sure we are all going through this common experience of quarantine with COVID-19 right now. And down the line, this may create a passion in you for caring for sick people or for hygiene, who knows? But common experiences definitely shape what we're passionate about. And training as well. So if you have been trained as an emergency medical technician, you may be passionate about that, caring for people who've suffered traumatic injuries, etc. But these all types of things, life experiences, our past can really shape who we are passionate about serving. If you'll look at your next page in your book, that would be page 40, I believe, where it says, Demonstrate My Passion Evaluation. That's kind of a strange name. But it's your goal here in this. These are tasks that for you have required little external motivation, like we just talked about earlier in this message. Things like if you read these definitions and you think, you know what, I love doing that. I don't need any motivation besides what's in me to do those types of things, check it. If you read one, it's like, golly, man, I would need a lot of money to do that type of thing. Don't check that one. That's probably not your passion. But the goal here is to check the ones that resonate with you. Try to rank your top 3. Put those top 3 in the bottom right of that page 40. And then you're going to transfer those to page 45 as well. So I'm going to take 5-10 minutes, however long it takes. Look at this list, read through them, think through it, and those that really connect with you and think, I really love doing that. I don't need anybody to pay me or look at me to do that. I just want to do it. Check those, rank your top 3, and then we'll come back together. Okay, go ahead and pause now. Okay, moving right along. We are, one thing that I neglected to say before you paused there was to ask you from your answers from pages 39 and 40, if you could transfer those to your score sheet, where you've diagrammed out your spiritual gifts, your abilities, your personality. There's a space in that 4th column for connecting passion with ministry to put the answers that you've gotten on pages 39 and 40. So I want to go ahead and pause right now, transfer those over to your score sheet, and then we'll come back together. Great. There really is a strong connection between the things that we've talked about with spiritual gifts, abilities, personality, and now your passion. There's a connection because God made you uniquely and for a purpose. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't just stumbling into it, but He created these things in you for a purpose, and uniquely and purposefully. And there's some great materials on pages 42 through 44 of your participant's guide that the next time we pause, I would like you to look at those. And it looks at the first page 42 says likely correlations between spiritual gifts and passion demonstration. So the links between your gifts and your passion. Page 43 looks at the likely links between your abilities and your passion. And then page 44 looks at the likely connections between your personality and your passion. Again, just tries to illuminate in you how you are made. That will guide how you can then serve most joyfully and most effectively in the body. But I'll ask you to pause here in a little bit so you can look at those 3 pages in more intensity. But we're going to look at page 41 for right now. And there's several links here. And this is interesting because you're looking here at links that disconnect your passion from ministry. Like we talked about, there are things that cause you to have passion, that link your passion to ministry. There are also things that drain your passion and disconnect that passion from ministry. And so we're going to talk about a few of those things. First is linking previous impact to passion. So that first blank there on page 40 is impact. Linking previous impact to passion. Being in the wrong ministry can disconnect one's passion to the ministry God has for them. Someone impacted by a ministry, event, experience, or person often assume that they should be passionate about any task involved with what it was that so impacted their life. So I got a few examples here. And that first line under this bullet is ministry. For example, if there's a man who attended a new members class at a church. And during that class, he realized, you know what? I'm not even an authentic follower of Christ. And there in that class, confessed his faith and became a believer. And like, this is it. This is real. And his life is radically changed. He may be eternally grateful for the people that led that new member class and be convinced it's the right thing for everybody to do, to join the church. And people see that excitement that he's got. And one day they ask him, you know what? We need someone to be the administrator, organizer for this new member class. And we think you, with your passion for new members, are the right person for that. Well, that guy may not have any administrative gifts, and it may be like death for him to keep track of lists, to send emails, organize coffee and donuts for the class. But he thinks because that class was so impactful, that event was so impactful, I must be passionate about everything with that class. And that's not the case. So there can be a disconnect there between a large event and a passion, if that makes sense. Similar thing, the second line is an event. So like we talked about with ministry and event can be kind of the same thing. If you're really impacted by an event that has something significant in your life and you're asked to get involved in that event in a future time, but it doesn't quite fit with how you're made, it may just diminish your passion because you're in the wrong place. Third line of that is experience. The example I've got here is a woman comes to know Christ through reading and studying the Bible. And over the next several years, the Bible has an incredible impact in her life, shapes her. She has a passion for reading it and studying it. She memorizes scripture, does studies, and becomes known in the church for someone who really has a deep knowledge of the Bible. Down the road, the church wants to expand their number of Bible studies, sees her passion for studying the Bible and says, you know what, we want you to be a Bible study leader. And she says, well, I've been passionate about reading and studying, and this is something I really love, and so maybe I should do this. But it may be that she really doesn't have a teaching gift and doesn't enjoy being in that type of setting, but she feels like she needs to because it's been such a rewarding experience in her life. And it just may not work. And it may diminish her passion for the Bible even when she's having to teach and serve in a role that doesn't fit how she is, all because she was so impacted by reading the Bible. I hope these are making sense. If not, they're kind of ancillary points, but we're trying to expand upon some red flags so you can kind of avoid some of these situations that may diminish your passions. The last one is a person, the last one under that first arrow. We've all probably had people who've had a significant impact in our spiritual life, like Pastor Gary, maybe for many of you. And may, out of gratitude and a sense of admiration, feel like if there's an ask, obligated to respond. But again, the whole point of this is we need to find our place that it fits who we are, how we're made, and not let a prior experience, a prior person, a prior event drive us maybe through guilt into a role that maybe doesn't fit. Okay, so we're going to look at, still on page 41, the second arrow is guilt as something that disconnects passion from ministry. The church where Anna and I met was a Southern Baptist church in Austin, Texas, large church, about 2,000 people on Sunday mornings. Great church, solid preaching, very much Bible-focused, a lot of young families. We had a young family at the time. We had, I think when we left, we had 3 kids, all young. And it was an unwritten rule at the church that if you had kids who went into the nursery, then you, at least one of the parents, needed to serve in the nursery once or twice a month. Regardless of whether that's something that you're gifted in or not, that was the expectation, largely because they just needed more people to help care for all these kids. So it was a valid reason behind it. But the way it often came across with certain leaders of this children's ministry was guilting parents into signing up. Telling parents, well, you're taking advantage of this benefit and you need to be investing in it too, and trying to make parents feel guilty so that they would get involved with it. And that has such a negative effect that it can really, even if someone has a passion for loving and caring for children, like I've talked about already, if I'm guilted into serving in that type of role, even that's something I'm passionate about can wane, and I become more focused on the resentment of being guilted into this than enjoying the passion for these children that God's put before me. So you may have been in that situation before, but guilt can be really a negative effect on our passion. When church workers use guilt to recruit workers, what they do not realize is that they are mortgaging the future. Those who say yes to serving because they're feeling like they ought to or have to say yes may later find it is not their place. They may often fulfill their commitment but vanish from ever serving again. Don't be guilted into serving. And we as leaders of the church strive not to guilt anyone into serving. We want you to find your place where you're passionate, where your personality, abilities, and gifts all fit together so that you can be joyful and effective in that role. The next arrow is other things. There's a principle in life, in work, in ministry called the 80-20 rule. This rule states that we should spend 80% of our time doing ministry tasks in line with our place, with our divine design. Recognizing just by the nature of life, of ministry, of work, we're going to have to spend 20% of our time doing things that don't necessarily fit with what we're passionate about or effective in. That's just part of being a team player, part of the reality of life. The problem becomes when that 20% becomes 40%, 50%, 80%, when we're doing much more of the things that don't fit than we are with the things that do fit. You're going to find your energy, your passion tanking. So other things can really diminish our passion for serving when we get taken too much out of what fits for us. Again, recognizing that we're always going to have to do some things that don't quite fit. We just need to be in places where the majority of it is things that we're passionate about. All right, the last line there under the arrows is people. And there's an author named Gordon MacDonald who's written several books, mostly for men. He's had an interesting past with some moral failures, but he's written a book about two men to caution men away from these types of moral failures. But he's also talked about 5 types of people who impact our passion. The first one is very resourceful people. He says they ignite our passion. They really fan it into flame. Whenever we're in their presence, we come away even more passionate about the passion that has already captured our hearts. We do not have to share the same passions as our VRPs, our very resourceful people, but just their presence, their personality, their encouragement really make our passion grow. That's the very resourceful people. The next are the very important people. He says they share our passion. These individuals have the same passion as we do. And we are around them, they contribute positively to our passion. It's that synergy. People come together, passionate about the same thing, and man, it's amazing what God can do in that situation. So those are very important people. The next, very trainable people. They catch our passion. They catch our passion. These are people who are able to see our passion and in turn create their own passion. It may not be for the same thing, but they see you passionate about something and realize, I'm passionate about this other thing and I've not really pursued it. It's time for me to get passionate about that thing. It's not coronavirus. When this happens, it contributes to the re-energizing of our passion. When we see people catch passion from our passion, it makes us even more passionate. It's pretty remarkable to see. The next one is very nice people. These people think, oh, it's so nice that you're passionate. And there's just no effect. They don't get stirred up. They just kind of sit in the back and just kind of nod and like clap. Very nice. They neither contribute to nor take away our passion. They're just kind of out of the game. Very nice people. Finally, very draining people or drainable people. These people take our passion. And we've all been around people that have taken our passion. People that just, for whatever reason, just suck the air out of a room for you. The reality is if we spend too much time in the presence of very drainable people without being re-energized by other people, our passion will begin to wane. We do not have to spend equal time in the presence of very resourceful people and very drainable people. But we need to have a balance. We need to recognize when we're losing our passion. For example, I've got people at my job, which I'm passionate about. My job is helping Salvadorans to improve the economy and security here. But I have colleagues who are complainers about things internal to USAID, things in the country, and man, it is so draining to be around them. It just makes me want to get away, So I'm sure we all have those people. We really need to watch how much time we spend around some people, because attitude does affect us. Others' attitudes do affect us. And so we need to be around people from time to time that really encourage us, stir us up. And by nature of life, we're going to be around people that frankly are a drain on us. But we need to recognize when we're getting drained and find people that can stir us up again, point us in the right direction, get us off the negativity and back into serving in our passion. All right, we've got three more arrows on that page 41. Further discussing links that disconnect our passion from ministry. The next one is overcommitment. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody been overcommitted? Lordy, I know I have frequently in my life, and it's often poor time management. It's often just having success in work and people wanting to give more work to the successful people, but it gets to the point where we're over-committed and we get drained, we get short with people, and we just don't have time for engaging in our passion. So poor time management, not being able to say no when asked, and exhaustion will lead to overcommitment. When this happens, what started as a passion can become sheer drudgery. Like it's tough to get through every day, even though I'm doing a job I'm passionate about, because I am so overcommitted. Man, this is a problem in our day and age, and I hope, pray that you can have someone that can hold you accountable on time management, because it's a huge drain on passion. The next one is boredom. If you are serving, even if it's something you're passionate about, working with kids or art or business, but you have just been doing the same old thing for 5-10 years, you've got it done, you could do what you're doing in your sleep. It's just boredom. It's tough to maintain passion for what you're doing if you are dead bored with what you're doing. We were made to stretch ourselves. When we are not allowed to stretch and grow, we often become bored. When boredom sets in, areas we once had a passion for seem to lose their excitement. When this happens, boredom disconnects passion. All right, the last arrow there is incompetence. Incompetence. You can also write there the Peter principle. Now, the Peter Principle is, well, let me back up. Doing a task or job that we do not have the abilities and or experience for will disconnect us from being passionate about that task. If you're in a role, whether it be in, again, business or church, wherever, and you don't feel that you have the sufficient skills or knowledge or resources to be successful, you're in over your head, and it's very easy to lose your passion when you feel like you just don't know what you're doing. You can't be effective because you don't have what you need. So this Peter Principle was developed in the 1960s. It states that when people are promoted from their highest level of competence to one level above that, they hit their highest level of incompetence. In other words, if you've got skills and you're in a position where you're just operating at the peak level of your skills, every day is stretching, but you're doing it, you're on top of it, and then you're promoted to more responsibility with more skills, there's that gap between what you're able to do and what you're being asked to do. And that gap, man, it's very draining when you realize that you just can't do it. You can't be productive. I've been there. I've been there when I was with this NGO in Africa at a time when I just felt like I don't have the know-how or the resources to do what I need to do. And man, it is a bad place to be. And that definitely is a drain on passion. So I hope you aren't there, or I hope you don't get there. There on page 41, the last quote says, that's the Peter Principle there, on page 41. So I want to ask you here to pause the video once more, look at pages 42 through 44 that, again, show you how possibly your spiritual gifts are linked to your passions, your abilities are linked to your passions, and your personality are linked to your passions. So spend a good time there. Look back to your profile from your score sheet. Find how those two things connect on those 3 pages. Read a little about it, and then we'll come back together in a few minutes. Take your time. Just pause it and then unpause when you're done. Well, great, folks. We're almost done here. We're on page 45 of your workbook, the second to last page of this session. It's a time for you to do some reflection, to really try to internalize the things that we've talked about passion, the things that you've discovered in the couple assessments and connection, pages 42 through 44. Hopefully you were able to transfer some of your results from pages 39 and 40 to this page so that you can have them there as you do some of these reflection times. And then on page 46, there are some questions that, again, try to take what we've talked about, push it down deeper into you so that it finds root into you to help you understand yourself and how all these things fit together. And so I don't need you to pause the video right now. You can do that after this video is over. I really hope this has been a positive message for you. Again, passion has the power to push you through hard times, to carry you through challenges, because there's just some magic. Well, it's not magic, it's God-given, that drives us. It is a motivator. And it's not something motivated by money or esteem or accolades. It's just something, it's the way God made you. And so, man, I hope that you're able to find your passions and to find a place to serve where you can use those, not only in the church, but also in your life, in your work, wherever you are, because passion really is fundamental. It's from the heart, and God is after your heart. Thank you so much. In about a week, I will be posting another video. We'll wrap up session 5, which talks about your life experiences and how they have helped shape you and can help you find your place in ministry as well. I invite you, if you have questions about what I've talked about, feel free to email me. Hopefully, you're getting emails from me with some of these materials and some of the communications. And also, as always, I say in my emails, if there's anything I can pray for you about place and what we're talking about what you're wrestling with this coronavirus crisis right now, or anything else, please, I'd be happy and honored to pray with you and for you for those things in your life. God bless you. Have a good day. Take care.